Before my near-death experience, my life seemed like it was everything I had ever wanted. I was happily married to Michael, and we had 3 wonderful children who filled my heart with joy. We lived in a house that looked perfect to anyone who passed by, the kind with a white picket fence and a well-kept garden. To the outside world, I had everything, but deep down I felt something was missing. I grew up in a Christian household, attending church every Sunday without fail. Faith was a big part of my life back then, but as I got older, life got busy. Work, raising the kids, taking care of the house, everything seemed to demand my attention. Somehow, as the years went by, church became less of a priority. My connection to God started to fade, and I didn't even realize how much distance had grown between us. When I had that heart attack, I never saw it coming. I thought I was just having chest pains from stress, something that would pass with rest. But I had no idea what was about to happen. I couldn't have known that this experience would turn my world upside down and spark a change that would affect me in ways I couldn't have imagined. I thought I had it all figured out, but I was about to learn that there was so much more waiting for me if only I was open to it. I was in my early 40s, and it started like any other Tuesday morning. I was rushing around the house, getting the kids ready for school while Michael prepared for work. I had been feeling unusually tired lately, with occasional chest discomfort, but I attributed it to the stress of managing our busy household. As I was making breakfast, a sudden, crushing pain spread across my chest. It felt like an elephant was sitting on me, and I couldn't catch my breath. The pain radiated down my left arm, and I knew something was terribly wrong. Michael found me collapsed on the kitchen floor, clutching my chest. The ambulance arrived within minutes, but those minutes felt like hours. The paramedics worked quickly, administering oxygen and starting in 4 as they rushed me to the hospital. Michael held my hand in the ambulance, his face pale with worry. I remember trying to reassure him that everything would be fine, but deep down, I was terrified. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed what we feared. I was having a massive heart attack. My main coronary artery was completely blocked. They rushed me into emergency surgery for an angioplasty, hoping to restore blood flow to my heart. But during the procedure, complications arose. My heart stopped beating. I felt an overwhelming sense of confusion as something shifted. My body felt strange, heavy, and as if it wasn't quite mine anymore. I could hear voices around me, doctors and nurses talking in frantic tones about losing my pulse. The next thing I remember was feeling like I was floating above my body, watching the medical team work desperately to revive me. The panic in their voices was evident, but strangely, I felt completely calm. I could see Michael in the waiting room, pacing back and forth, and I wanted to comfort him, to tell him I was okay. But I couldn't reach him. I felt like I was being pulled away from the world, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't hold on. The doctors worked tirelessly, using defibrillators and medications to restart my heart, but my body was unresponsive. I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe minutes, maybe longer. Time felt irrelevant. And then, just when I thought I couldn't hang on any longer, something changed. There was a shift, a sudden sense of profound peace. It was like my soul and mind were finally at rest. The pain, the fear, and the chaos all faded away, leaving behind a stillness that was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. I wasn't in my body anymore. I didn't feel the weight of my limbs or the tightness in my chest. Instead, I felt free, lighter than air, as though I was floating. The bright lights of the hospital room began to blur, and everything around me grew distant. I couldn't hear the voices anymore. The overwhelming sense of fear melted away, and I was left with nothing but this peaceful quiet. In that moment, I realized that I wasn't afraid of what was happening. I wasn't afraid of dying. I didn't know it at the time, but this was the beginning of something far bigger than I could have ever imagined. It was the beginning of my journey, one that would forever change how I saw the world, myself, and my faith. What I was about to experience would make everything in my life come into sharp focus. But at that moment, all I knew was that I was drifting away, caught between this world and something else entirely. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like everything shifted in an instant. One moment I felt like I was slipping further away from the world I knew, and the next, I was somewhere entirely different. I wasn't in my body anymore. I wasn't in the sterile hospital room either. Instead, I found myself standing in a vast, radiant space. The air felt pure, like nothing I had ever breathed on earth. It wasn't cold or hot, just perfect. And the light was unlike anything I had ever seen. Warm and golden, yet it didn't hurt my eyes. It felt welcoming, gentle, as though it was a presence itself. I felt safe. Not just safe, but loved, like someone had been waiting for me. And that's when I saw him, Jesus. I can't say exactly what he looked like, but there was something about him that I knew deep down was unmistakable. His presence was so overwhelming, so full of peace and grace, that it took my breath away. His eyes were kind, filled with love that was beyond anything I could comprehend. I wanted to move toward him, to fall at his feet, but I couldn't. It was as though my body didn't quite belong to me anymore. I remember him speaking to me, but the words were not like any words I had heard before. They were filled with understanding, and even though I didn't hear them out loud, I understood them completely. He told me that it wasn't my time yet, that I still had more to do on earth. There was love in his voice, but also a quiet authority. He wasn't rushing me. He wasn't pushing me away, but there was an undeniable truth to his words. It wasn't time for me to stay. I wanted to argue. I wanted to ask why, but before I could even form the thought, the scene around me changed. Suddenly, I was in another place. This place was darker. It wasn't the peace and light I had felt with Jesus. It was cold, oppressive. The air here didn't feel pure. It was thick, like something was choking the life out of it. I saw something moving toward me, or rather someone, but it wasn't someone I recognized. It was like looking at the opposite of everything I had just felt with Jesus. The presence radiated an unsettling energy, almost like it was drawing everything good away from me. The figure was tall, but its features were blurred, shadowed, and I knew without a doubt this was not a being of light. It was a vision of the Antichrist. I don't know how I knew, but I did. It wasn't a matter of seeing his face clearly. It was the feeling that surrounded him, the weight of evil that seemed to radiate from him. I didn't hear words like I had with Jesus, but the intent was clear. There was no love, no hope, only darkness. He was standing there, watching me, and I felt the coldness of his gaze, like he was daring me to be afraid. It was so unsettling that it made my heart race, but something in me, something stronger than fear, rose up. I wasn't alone. I had seen Jesus, and he had told me it wasn't my time. So I didn't bow to the darkness. I didn't let the presence of evil consume me. I knew I had to resist, and for some reason, I knew I could. The Antichrist figure didn't approach me, but he stayed there, lingering in the shadows. And just as quickly as the scene had appeared, it faded, like a bad dream slipping away when you wake up. Suddenly, I was back in my body, back in the hospital room. I could hear the beep of the machines and the relieved voices of the doctors. My body was still weak, my chest tight, but I had been given a glimpse into something far beyond what I had ever imagined. I couldn't explain it then, and I can't fully explain it now. I can only tell you that what I saw, what I experienced, was real, more real than any dream. I encountered both heaven and hell in those moments, and I've never been the same since. When I woke up from what felt like an eternity in another world, everything felt different. I couldn't quite explain it right away. My body felt weak, my mind was clouded, but there was a deep sense of peace in my heart. More than that, I carried with me a message, one that had been planted deep in my soul during the brief time I spent beyond this life. It wasn't a message that had been spoken to me directly in words, but it was clear in every fiber of my being. It was as if the truth had been imparted to me, and it was something I couldn't ignore. The message was about love, true love. Not the fleeting, conditional love that we often experience here on earth, but the kind of love that comes from a place of pure grace. The kind of love I had felt in the presence of Jesus. That love was not just for me, it was for everyone. It wasn't about being perfect or having all the right answers. It was about being open to receiving that love and allowing it to transform you. Jesus had shown me that love wasn't something that could be earned, but something that had already been given freely. It was there for everyone, regardless of their past or mistakes. It was the kind of love that healed, that restored, that gave hope. It was a love that transcended all understanding. But there was also a warning I couldn't ignore. I saw how easily we can stray from that love, how easy it is to fall into darkness, into fear, into doubt. How quickly we can be consumed by the worries of this world, by the distractions and temptations that pull us away from what really matters. I had seen the figure of the Antichrist, a vision that terrified me, but it wasn't just a vision of something to fear. It was a reminder of what happens when we let ourselves be consumed by the wrong things, when we allow the darkness to take root in our hearts, when we forget the love that was meant to guide us. The warning was clear: there is evil in this world, and it is real. But there is also light, and that light is more powerful than anything darkness can throw at us. The choice is ours to make. Will we walk in the light, in the love that has been given to us, or will we allow ourselves to be swayed by the shadows? And then there was the most important part of the message: faith. Faith in God, in His love, and in the promises He has made to us. It wasn't enough to simply know about God or to hear about His love. It was about truly believing, trusting, and surrendering ourselves to Him. Faith is what anchors us when everything else seems uncertain. Faith is what holds us steady in the storm, what helps us navigate the challenges of life with hope and strength. Without faith, it's easy to be tossed around, to be swept away by the world's distractions. But with faith, we are given a solid foundation to stand on. I knew I had been given a second chance, a chance to live my life differently, with purpose and with a heart full of love. A chance to share this message with others, to remind them of the love that is always available, the warning to stay vigilant, and the importance of holding on to faith. I knew that no matter how hard life might get, I had something greater to hold on to now, something that couldn't be shaken by anything this world could throw at me. That's the message I carry with me every day: love, warning, and faith. They're the three things that matter most. They're the things that have the power to change lives, to bring us closer to the truth, and to lead us into the light. Since my experience, Michael and I have returned to church. Our children have seen the change in us, and they've started asking questions about faith that we're now equipped to answer. We've opened our home to Bible study groups, and I've shared my testimony with anyone who will listen. Every day is a gift now. Every heartbeat is a reminder of the second chance I've been given. I don't take a single moment for granted, and I live each day trying to show others the love that was shown to me. Thank you for listening to my testimony, and I hope it has blessed you. Please kindly share this testimony with your loved ones, and do not forget that God's love is available to each and every one of us. Until we meet again, remain blessed and hold fast to your faith.